Welcome creators, I'm the Hommeyosh, and this is my channel, where we inspire creativity, explore game development, and bring Unreal Engine projects to life. In this video, we're continuing our third-person game series by adding a melee hit detection using line trace with the Anim Notified state, playing sound with Anim Notified, and creating a basic enemy that takes damage. If this is your first time here, make sure to check out the earlier parts of this series, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss out on the next videos. With that said, let's jump into the Unreal Editor and get started. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our content browser inside of our blueprints, and well, we're going to the third person, and in our blueprints for the third person, we are going to create a blueprint class, and what we're looking for is the Anim Notify state. Notified state. That's what we want. So the Anim Notified state. Just go ahead and select that. Okay, and we can call that Anim Notify. Hold on, let me erase this. Let me go back. Melee attack. Or melee hit. Melee hit, that's what we're going to call it. Anim Notified melee hit. That is what we're doing. Okay, and first thing we're going to do inside of this is we're going to open this up. And what I want to do, let me make this a little bit bigger here. Okay, under my functions, I want to receive notified tick. There we go. Okay. So under functions where it says override, just wrote down receive notified tick. Yeah, okay, and just go ahead and pull that out a little bit. And what you want to do is you want to cast to third person. Our third person character. Okay, and under mesh comp, we're going to get owner. Okay, and we're going to plug the get owner into the object there. Alright, so we're going to compile that for now. And then I want to go into my blueprint third person character. So I want to go into my content, BP third person character. I'm going to open that up, and we're going to create a new function. Let's figure this out real quick. So under my functions, hit the plus button, and we're going to call this function melee attack notify. Melee. Okay, so that's our melee attack notify. Okay, so we're going to compile that and save, and then so we don't forget, we're going to go back under the Anim Notify, and what we're going to do is we're just going to call on that function from the third person player. Oops. Oh, there it is right there. It already popped up. Good. Okay, so we're going to compile and save that. Okay, so before we make this function, let's go ahead into the montage that we're going to use and bring that Anim Notify in. So we're going to go, in the last video, we imported the animations, the short animations, and then we went and retargeted them to the third person character. So, and then we made the montages. So we got this animation attack light montage. That's the one we were using. So we're going to open that up. Okay, and he's just swinging like crazy there. So right around the same area where he swings, right about there, right under notifies, right notify 1, I'm going to go ahead and right click, and you want to add a notify state. And then when you scroll on top, just hover over top of it, you'll see the Anim Notified state that we just created, the Anim Notified melee hit. So you go ahead and click on that, and we'll stretch this out a little bit. So this is the beginning, and this is the end. So our end should be right about there. That looks good. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I want to create a sound. So under the notifies here, I'm going to hit another track. Oh, no. Add notify track, there we go. And so we don't mix it up, right under the number 2, I want to right click and add notify, but on the add notify, I'm going to play the sound. Okay, so the sound that we want to play, so we just go ahead and click on that notify that we just created, the play sound, and over here in our details panel, I'm going to say the Anim Notify, where the sound is right here. You just scroll down, and the sound that I dragged in was the mace attack sound. I went and imported this. I'll put this at the bottom of the description if you want this sound, but I just went into Pixabay and I just made it a waveform and imported it into the project, and then I just took that sound and made it a cue, so I can turn the volume, control the volume a little bit. So that is going to be our sound, and you can hear it if you hit play. So that's it. Okay. So it's going to play the sound, and it's going to do an Anim notified state. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and save that. We're going to go back into the third person character functions. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a sphere trace for object. Am I spelling that wrong? Yes, I am spelling that wrong. Now there's other different traces by for objects. That's what we want. No, we don't want the multi. We want sphere trace. No, we want for objects. Sphere trace for objects. That's what we want. Okay, so just make sure it's that sphere trace for objects. I messed it up by doing the tri-sphere and something else, but just make sure that you got the right one. Okay, next thing I want to do is let's just compile that. Well, yeah, we're going to have some errors, but we can go back into that later. The next thing, while I'm in here, I'm going to go into the viewport. Click on my guy. Now, click on the weapon. Actually, we don't even need to be in the viewport. Let's make sure we stay in here. Okay, so under the skeletal mesh, I'm going to click on the weapon that we have. That's our mace. And the details panel, you can see the skeletal mesh. I'm going to go ahead and hit the folder with the magnifying glass on it, so it takes us to the content folder, and you'll see the skeleton mace. Don't get the skeletal mesh. The mesh. Just make sure you have this SK mace. And what you want to do is you double click on it. Now you'll see the skeleton tree is what we want. It has the skeleton for the grip. What I want to do is I want to right click and add socket, and click on it. I'm going to hit F2, and I'm going to call this Hitbox. Okay, so that's our hit socket, and what I want to do is I just want to drag this up to the center here. So anything that's going to hit, it's going to be right in this area. So we go ahead and save that. Okay, so now we can go back into our BP third person character, the functions here. And what I want to do is I want to get that weapon. I'm going to drag it in. And off that weapon, I want to get socket location. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into the SK Mace, and I'm going to hit the hitbox and make sure I get the right spelling. So I'm going to copy that, go back into my third person, make sure our hitbox is in there. Okay, so I'm gonna have this the start and the end. So that's gonna be our start and our end. So the next thing, I want to make this radius 20 works pretty good. Actually it was 25, sorry. And object type, pull off object type and just make array. Oops, we're making array here. And that is going to be our pawn. All right, looking good so far. So the next thing I want to do, I want to make sure that I get everything's working just for debugs. You can delete this later. I always want to do a print string. Okay, the print strings are very helpful for debugging and lets you know what is going on. So for the hit string, I'm going to do the return value, and I'm just going to plug that in there. So there's our return value. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and test this all out. So I'm going to hit play. So there's our player. And he's not making the... Okay, I forgot to, I want to draw debug type for duration. That's what I forgot to do. And there it is. So everything's it's printing string false because there hasn't been any collision. It's not colliding with the object that we want. We wanted a third person. So let's go ahead and get that guy in there. So what I want to do is off of out hit, we're going to drag off there and we're going to break hit results. Okay, we're going to enlarge this. So we're going to get a hit actor, but before we do that, what I want to do is I want to create the enemy. So let's go ahead and compile and save. Go into our content drawer. I used to be scared of line traces, but I found this to be fairly easy. So I try to make this video as less painful as possible. So I got my we have our third person in the blueprints, our character here. Well, we don't need to open him up. He has all the hit damage and everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit Control D and I'm going to duplicate that. So I'm going to eliminate everything. I'm just going to call this enemy BP character. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so enemy BP character. And I'm going to open him up. Now I'm going to change a few things. Now, when he hits, I don't want him responding. So we're on the false part. So we're going to get rid of that. Okay, so he should do everything else. And I don't want the game over. We can go and tweak these later on. So next I'm going to do is I'm just going to change his materials. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit. All the way up to the top. Just find something in here that works. Okay, it looks like it doesn't have the material that I want. You can add different materials later. We're just going to do something simple here. Let's just have the black, just so we can tell the difference. There we go. And we're going to compile, look in the viewport. Okay, it's just a dark night. There we go. Everything looks good. All right, so I'm going to go back into the third person character inside of our functions. And we are going to cast, so off of print string, off of hit actor. Here we go, hit actor. I want to cast to, is it the enemy BP character? That's what we're going to do. We're going to cast to him. I'm going to go ahead and plug that into the print string here. Okay, so that's all set up to caster there. Now the next thing I want to do is off of here, I want to apply damage. Okay, so the damage actor is going to be the enemy BP character, and the damage causer is going to be self. Get a reference to self. And I'm just, for now, I'm just going to put 100 just to make sure. Off of hit actor. Okay, off of the hit actor, I want to play sound at location. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. So when I go ahead and hit the actor that we want, it's going to play the sound at. And we can just have, just find something. There we go. So it tells us success. Later on I can download different animation or different audios, and we can make a hit sound when it hits them. So that everything looks like it's working. So I'm going to go ahead and compile everything. I'm going to make sure everything is saved, make sure there's nothing that I missed and I didn't save it. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit play. Oh, no, there's one thing I did forgot. I did not import the character into the third person map level. So we got to import him up. And he needs some, I got to get rid of the camera and stuff, but I can tweak him up later. So I'm going to go back into the blueprints here, and I'm going to hit play. And you can see that everything's working. It says false, it's not hitting anything. We go over to the character, it hits him, it says true, he dies, and everything seems to be working. And that's it, creators. You just learned how to apply damage with Anim Notifies states and line trace, and create a simple enemy with Unreal Engine. If this video has been helpful, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and check out the rest of my Unreal Engine tutorials. Stay inspired and keep creating.